Perfect. Thanks again, Dave Clark, the pattern guy. This thing's a winner. Using that for draft because the adjustment on this table is kind of messed up. Works pretty good. Alright, now I'm going to sand draft on the fat end. So this will be the skinny on top and wide at the bottom on the inside and the outside, if that makes any sense. Sand rammers. This is the first one I made. I used it to make the mold when I made that one. And this was the first sand casting I made in my home foundry. This one is a la SW Dweeb. You can get 3D printer files to make one like it. Maybe not with that logo on his web store, plmfoundries.com. They're cheap. And yeah, these are the three that I use. Generally, I'd rather use a little thicker tip, but sometimes if you got to get it into a tight spot, a little bit thinner profile to it is nice. This one's kind of the best of both worlds. It's wide and kind of thin if I have to do something in a smaller flask. It's wider than this one, which is nice, but I wish this one was wider and about as thick. As for these ends, this one's actually the widest one I have that I use regularly, and that's why I use it, because it's bigger than this one. This one is so light that I gotta, I'm using a lot more muscle to actually flatten down the top of my molds. I kinda wish I had designed these a little bit different. So got some new patterns made up. Now you might be asking, where's the core print and where's the parting line? But I'm not going to cast it as a split pattern, for the simple reason that I really like using these little flasks, and I just don't think there's enough room for these two parts and gating in one flask. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. The pattern actually splits here, but the main parting line is there, and there's another parting line here, because if this was all on one side, all down here would be an undercut. So that's going to be the interesting part of this mold. There's actually some little pieces that stick up that I don't want to damage. So I'm going to put these $2 coins here as spacers. Alright. Now there's going to be a core here that's got to pull out, so just to be safe, I got that. just want to pack down this little core here. Not too hard, but it's got to be firmed up. You know what? I'm going to time travel to the future and get my new ramming tool to finish this off. All right, I don't want to pack the inside of this yet, so I'm just gonna at this point, have I saved any time and effort over ramming up a bigger flask and making a core box? I don't know, but it's something I wanted to try. It's really important that I get this really well dusted. Like I mentioned, sometimes I'll use this with that core there. I'm gonna have to use this one to go around the sides. This is the tricky part. I wish that the core would stand the drag, but from past experience, I'm quite certain it's going to stick to the cope. So I'm going to roll it over. All right, here we go. Okay, here's the tricky part here. The gates are going to be there and there. So I can't interfere with those. That didn't help. That lifted a little. All right, I think I got the core loosened. This is the weird part. Now, that core, I better stay put. I'm going to be, I might say a bad word, I'm not going to lie. See, it's, unless I roll it over and over again, there's no great way to blow this out as clean as I wish I could. Got it pretty good. Fingers crossed. That was a long mold to make though. Was it worth it? Buy a bigger flask? Not really. I probably should just make it one with a core print. Split pattern. Way easier to mold. Have it done in half the time, maybe less. But now I know I can do this technique, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, it does work because, as you can see, I got my two ends made and put a handle on it. Worked pretty good. There's a little bit of a, not totally thrilled with this one. Just some little inclusions, a lot of little sand, loose sand got in the mold, I guess. I was pretty careful about blowing it out, but I guess I must have missed some. Still, all it's got to do is pound sand. It's not going to hurt its function at all. No shrink on here. I did go back in and open this up because I noticed when I was rewatching the footage of molding it that I had forgotten to. I didn't want to risk doing it here because I would have had to mess with that core to cut it open some, and I just didn't want to risk it. So I was a little worried that there would be some shrink in here, and it even looked like it in the video where I was unmolding it, but I'm not seeing it in real life. Yeah, this one actually turned out not too bad. It's a little in my hand. Yeah. I did cast these separately because I was thinking if this works out and I want to put it on a match plate, I'm still going to need this loose piece. So I cast this, and I just threw this in there as well. But you can see where I had the gating on it. And same was with when I did this one. I had it on the side instead of on there. The reason I wanted to do this one was because I wanted to see if that would make this easier to clean up. Because when I had it here, it was awfully close to this part, and I didn't want to. I wound up, grinding off more of this part than I really wanted to. But yeah, I got away with it. I'm not seeing shrink on here, so I think I would open it up there if I did it again. I put a little text thing in the molding footage to show the point where I would do that. Yeah, I like this. You saw me use it. It works good. One thing I might do differently is put these on separate handles, because there's areas when I'm pounding here, like between the sprue and the feeder, where this doesn't really get into. I think if you just had a flat end on here, or maybe even like you could sand like a bit off one side and use that end to get into the tight spots. And the same goes with this. To make the mold to cast these, I did have to break out this rammer. So if I had this with one end sanded down to like a long kind of thin section that could get into those little spaces, you'd have like all the peen you need and all the butt you need, and you don't really need them at the same time. So I think that might be the way to put these together, as two separate tools where the back end is for getting into tighter spaces. Alright, the sprue doesn't want to blow. Right, that's because it isn't the sprue. That's the base of the sprue. I use these number 2 Robertson head screws to reinforce the cores of these sockets. And you see that? Definitely made in Canada.